All right, so as we said, today we are really trying to figure out, our driving question for this unit is, how is this place on Earth going to change over 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, or even 1,000,000 years? And as we started talking about this, the place that we really are looking at, because we live in Detroit, is Belle Isle. It's called the Jewel of Detroit. We talked about earlier how many of you have been to Belle Isle before. And for our students, we know that there are many of them that have experienced Belle Isle as well. And so this gives them a sense of some place that they know a little bit about already. And so as we started this unit, as you remember, we started with our driving question, and we developed our driving question board. And our driving question board, you, just like the students, developed some questions related to how you think Belle Isle might change over 1,000 years, 10,000 years, or 1,000,000 years. And so some of our questions were related to how the land might change, and questions that you had about how the land might change. Some of your questions were related to time and what might happen over time. And some of your questions were related to water. So we want to think about specifically how the land and the water interact as we're looking at the second learning set of this particular unit. One of the questions was, how did the land get shaped? So let's look at our pictures here. We have one picture of Belle Isle, and then we have another picture of a faraway place that's actually on the west coast of the United States that we're kind of comparing and thinking about. How did the land get shaped the way that it is shaped? Belle Isle has a specific shape, and so does that area from the west coast. So I want you to take a minute. You're going to turn and talk to your partner and talk about, how do you think that land might have gotten shaped that way? And I want you to really listen carefully to what your partner says, because I may ask you about what your partner said rather than what you said. So let's take a minute and do a turn and talk, where you're going to turn and talk to the partner next to you. And some of us, because you may have 3 partners together, let's have 3 partners together right here. How do you think, do you think the land shapes the water, or do you think the water shaped the land? How did those 2 land areas get shaped that way? All right, let's start looking at Belle Isle, since that is an area we're familiar with. And you notice the shape of Belle Isle. How do you think it got to be that shape? Tell me something that your partner said about how Belle Isle, do you think it was the land that shaped the water around Belle Isle, or do you think the water is shaping the land, and why do you think so? So let's start with this team. Amy, can you tell me what your partner said?
So when we were talking about, first I said it looks kind of like a pencil point at one part of the island, and so my partner said, let's look at how maybe the water's flowing. So it almost looks like there are ripples that are bringing the water towards us. So we thought maybe the water is actually pushing on the land and making it look like it has that point.
Great idea. Let's have the second group. Let's see, Danita, can you tell me a little bit about what your partner said?
Yes. We all agreed that the water is shaping the land, and you were saying that it looks like the water kind of meandered around the land of Belle Isle.
And can you tell me a little bit more about why you thought the water was shaping the land? What evidence you had?
The way the water was flowing, the way we think that the water is flowing, and how we noticed the point as well, and how it's larger at the other end, that is breaking off pieces on one side and other pieces are not being broken off, so that's why one side has the point.
Okay, all right, excellent. What about this last team? Can you tell me something about, Christy, can you tell me something about what your partner talked about?
So we said some of the same things that we know, that historically over time water has shaped land, and when looking at the pictures, especially comparing the 2, you can kind of get a sense for how the water is shaping the land. But we also said, well, thinking about it, when mountains are formed, they can actually, how did you say it, Sue? They can actually show where the water, like displace the water.
The land can displace the water and change the flow.
Okay. Okay. When you think about what all 3 groups said, can anybody tell me something that they heard that was similar in all 3 groups? What was something that you heard all 3 groups talk about?
I heard people say that water is shaping the land.
Okay, so that's one of the things that we can, when we're thinking about this, as we are going through and trying to figure this out, one of the things that we can think about is that the water is shaping the land. That's something we all think might possibly be happening. Anything else that you heard most people talk about? Yes?
Well,
I noticed how we all mentioned that the water was moving, like the movement of water, that it wasn't, I noticed there's some lakes there inside of Belle Isle, but we didn't necessarily say that, oh, we think the lakes are shaping. That was the river, the movement.
Okay,
of the
so
water.
so the water is shaping the land, and we think that the evidence, some of the evidence that some people talked about was they thought they saw in the pictures that the water was moving. All right, so let's see if we can do some things to figure this out.